Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first edition of the Off the Glass podcast. We coming at you right in time for the start of the playoffs. I think we actually got about a half hour to the first tip here for the Nets and the Sixers. So getting it to you right in time for all things NBA playoff related. I got my boy Dame here. Say what up to them, Dame.
Yo, what's going on? My name's Dane. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. We got basketball content coming soon. Let's get it, man. Let's get into it.
All right, it's perfect, man. So, like he said, like, comment, subscribe. Don't know what the cadence of these, longer podcast type episodes are going to be, but definitely gonna have a lot of them coming during the playoffs because it's going to be crazy. But
Facts.
before we, dive all too deep into it, got to go through the playing recap first. That wrapped up last night. So first, starting off with the 7-8 games, we had the Hawks beating the Heat, and then the Lakers beating the Timberwolves. So they're going to lock in their matchups there. So the Hawks are going to be taking on the Celtics in the first round. The Lakers are going to be traveling to Memphis in the first round. For me personally, that Hawks game, I think, shocked me more than anything. For those of y'all that watched my playing preview video, I actually said I thought this was going to be the biggest blowout in the playing tournament. I thought the Heat were really just going to kind of wipe the floor with Atlanta. And for most of the game, it was actually the other way around. Um, Clint Capella he finished with like 22, 23 rebounds,
Yeah,
something
it was
like that.
around there.
He dominated the game on the glass. Him and Onyeka Okongwu had a ton of really like big blocks in that game. Bam didn't really get going at all until like late in the third quarter, and by that time the Heat had really dug themselves into a hole. They're already one of the worst shooting teams in the league, and I didn't help that. I feel like Jimmy missed a lot of layups in that game that he typically would normally make, especially when playoff Jimmy gets activated, he gets in that bag. So yeah, man, what'd you think? I honestly I was not expecting this Hawks team to make it out of the play-in at all. And they came in like they had a chip on their shoulder and they had something to prove in this game.
Honestly, it's really just tough because the Heat really just didn't play a good game. It feels like the Heat just seems like honestly the Hawks just feel like they wanted more when it comes to like rebound and stuff like that. Like when you let Clint Capella get was it 20 something rebounds, you're not most of the time you're not gonna win that game. And then when Jimmy has a bad game and you're already not a great scoring team. I mean, it's really just tough because, like you said, Bam could be passive at times. If Jimmy doesn't really have it going, like where's the offense really coming from? Like, yes, Tyler Hero, but they don't really have enough scoring to overcome like Jimmy having a bad game. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I think you're not alone. I think everyone pretty much, unless you live in Atlanta, picked the Heat to win that game. But I mean, hey, shout out to the Hawks, man. They wanted it more.
Yeah, yeah, I got to put him now. Clint Capella in 28 minutes, 4 points, one assist, 21 rebounds.
That's crazy.
So he
That is so
he
crazy.
he went crazy. Trey ended up with 25, 8 and 7. Sadiq Bey had a couple of nice threes there. Bogdanovich. It felt like they had so much, and maybe I think part of this is just the addition of DeJounte Murray allowed them to not basically relieve a lot of the pressure that I think Trey had on, when they played the Heat last year. It felt like he kind of got swarmed basically and couldn't
Yeah.
really do anything. So I think having that secondary ball handler really helped. And obviously, he probably has grown and developed and taken a lot of time to watch the film from that game because it felt like he always made the right decision in that game. He got to his spots, a lot of those driving kicks. And a lot of that I think is due to Quinn Snyder. I know I saw, clips of them. He's directing traffic there on the sideline, trying to get some high-low action worked out with, Bogdanovich and Onyeka on a couple of possessions there. And when they were playing at that really fast, it felt like they were just up and down the floor. They
Hmm.
would get stops, and then it was like quick transition threes back to back, or here comes Trey Young driving kick to Sadiq in the corner, Bogdanovich in the corner, and it's so many open threes. It felt like an avalanche. So, yeah, no, definitely, it felt like they wanted it more. So shout out to the Hawks. Like I said, they're going to be going to play the Celtics in the first round. It's going to be an interesting
Oof.
series for sure. It's going to be a lot of offense. We'll get more into the prediction for that later. But moving on to, like I said, the 7-8 game in the West, your LA
Oh
Lakers
yeah, this is the game I want to talk about.
tried to throw it away. They tried to throw it away at
Oh
the
my
end of the game
God.
there against Minnesota, but they squeaked it out. I'll let you go first. Talk about what you saw from the Lakers in that game.
Listen. before the game even started, I said honestly, I would prefer Rudy Gobert play in that game. I literally said like people were saying, "Oh, we're definitely gonna win because Rudy Gobert is out there missing their top two defenders." Yeah, Jaden McDaniels, yeah, that was a huge loss. But honestly, I'd rather Rudy Gobert play just because their spacing is completely different when he's on the court, and that's pretty much any team with Rudy Gobert. If I'm being honest, that's why I'm not the biggest Rudy Gobert fan. But like you could just see like they were moving the ball. It was movement on the offense. Cat had a lot of room to work. He was having a great game. Like before the foul trouble, he was having a fantastic game. But I mean, we squeaked it out. When Cat is really your only big, it's tough because he cannot stay out of foul trouble, and that's really was their main problem. Because you seen as soon as he got, I believe it was that fourth foul,
Hmm.
that game kind of changed completely because he couldn't play the same. He couldn't play defense the same. We squeaked it out. We definitely tried to give it away. Like it was plenty of times
Almost
I was,
did.
yeah, oh, bro, I was screaming at my TV. It was plenty of times we literally tried to throw that game away. I mean, we got LeBron, you got AD, you got a solid supporting cast. We pulled it through. We pulled it through. It definitely was a tough one though.
Yeah, it's been a theme for Cat. He really cannot get out of foul trouble, especially in these big games. We saw it last year. We were playing Minnesota. He just could not stay out of foul trouble. Like you said, he got that fourth foul and that fifth foul for yanking AD down on trying to get the rebound. It's just like
It's just a
dumb
dumb
fouls,
foul. Yeah, it's
right?
just a
Like it's
dumb
not even
foul.
like you're playing hard and the ref has to make a ticky tack call. It's like, why are you even doing that in this moment, knowing that y'all do not have a backup big? Like if you are getting subbed out the game, you're putting slow mo at the five. So,
Exactly.
yeah, had a generational almost performance from Mike Conley in that game. He
Oh
turned
my
into
God.
Steph Curry real quick.
Oh
He
my
was
God.
sparking
I
it.
almost forgot about Mike Conley. Oh
Yeah.
my
That
God. It was
whole day,
killing me.
because before this in the Heat game, Kyle Lowry had a little legacy game to
Yeah,
play.
yeah. I feel like
That's
all the playing games it felt like was like role player step up. Even the
yeah,
game we're gonna talk about after is probably the Max Strus. He having 30 points. Like it was just a lot of these games, and even that's the way it is in like NBA playoffs. I feel like
yeah.
you need some of your role players to win you a game. Like so, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he stepped up. He almost pulled through.
Yeah,
That was
exactly. But
crazy.
yeah, so Mike Conley finished up with 23. Cat had 24. He was dominating a lot for most of the first half. Like you say, he really fell off there in the third when he got into foul trouble. LeBron finished with 30, 10, and 6. AD 24 and 15. Like you said, this one ends up going to overtime because AD wanted to
Oh,
foul Mike Conley on the 3-pointer.
oh my God.
But the Lakers turned it up in overtime and put that to bed pretty quick. So they're going to be going on and playing the Grizzlies in what's probably going to be one of the most anticipated first round matchups from not even just the basketball, but
Oof.
the drama, the off the
Right.
court.
Hmm.
So that's going to be a crazy one. Moving into the 9-10 games, the first one that happened, I think it was on Wednesday. We had the Bulls and the Raptors, and the Bulls honestly came back. Game was all but over. I know people that left their house at halftime going to run errands. They thought it was a wrap. Bulls came back. I think they were
I
down
was one of
over.
those people. I
Yeah,
was one of those people.
the Bulls were down by I think over 20 points. And that third and fourth quarter, Zach LaVine just turned up, put his head down. He's getting to the rim, he's making tough shots. DeMar DeRozan was always going to make tough shots in the clutch. And honestly, more important than anything, their defense really turned up, really made it hard for Fred VanVleet to score, made it hard for OG to make any shots. Really kind of relied on Pascal to score at that point. But him alone is not going to be able to kind of stop the bleeding really that happened from pretty much primarily Zach LaVine at that point in the fourth quarter. So I honestly did not think the Bulls were going to win this game. Like I said, when I saw a score at halftime, I thought this was exactly what I was expecting. And they just, I don't know, they flipped a switch there. DeMar's daughter was in the crowd. She's being the greatest six man ever out here,
Greatest. Greatest
making
ever.
them miss free throws. I think they shot 30% below their season
Hmm.
average on free throws. So Scotty Barnes said it worked. So she was screaming, making them miss free throws. So hey, see, I don't know what you thought about this. I definitely didn't have the Bulls winning this game coming in, but uh, look, Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan is a lethal scoring duo that could really match up with any duo in the NBA when they got it going, and he got it going in the second half, and it turned up for the Bulls.
Yeah, man. I mean, honestly, it's just Zach LaVine, when he gets it going, like you say, he's just one of the best scorers in the league once he gets it going. That was really the key to that second half because he had 30 of his points in the second half alone. So that, and like I said, along with DeMar DeRozan's daughter, she was the real MVP because I
She
think
was, she
they
was,
missed what,
yeah.
18 free throws?
Yeah, and a lot of them was bad down like fourth quarter. Like Siakam was
Yeah.
breaking free throws. Like,
I will say, she needs to be in like a horror movie because her scream like kind of scared me. Like if I was at the
yeah,
free throw line in like a high pressure situation and she
I'm
screamed like
airballing.
that, I'm airballing. I'm not.
I
There's
would
no way
have.
I'm making that.
Can
I don't
they?
even blame the Raptors.
Can the like? What would they have done if like one of the Raptors players would have asked the ref to like get her escorted out? Like, I know that's probably a bad look, but like,
Yeah, I,
I
I
don't
think
know.
they just
After we
couldn't do
missed
it.
like 10 free throws, I'm like, hey man, can we do something about
I'm about to say she gotta go. I'm sorry, she has
this?
to go. I'm sorry, but yeah, man, it was crazy. But I mean, yeah, she was the MVP. That game. That's really all I gotta say about it. Her and
For
Zach
sure.
LaVine, they really won that game.
Yeah, moving on to the other 10 in game or the 10-9 game in the West. Um, we had the Thunder taking on the Pelicans. I thought this was going to be a really fun game, which it definitely turned out to be an exciting,
Hmm.
offensive, back and forth, especially down the stretch between Shea and Bi. I personally thought the Pelicans was going to win this game, but um, Shea, man, honestly, that whole Thunder young core um, really went crazy. Jalen Williams didn't put up a ton of points. I think he had 10, 11 points. But I was really impressed with his intensity on the defensive end. He really was sitting in the chair and making Bi work whenever he got switched on to him. Just continuously trying to fight over screens. He was really just giving a lot of effort on that end. Lou Dort was going crazy shooting the ball.
Yeah.
Josh Giddey had almost a 30-point triple double, and then obviously we know Shea had 32 and ton of crazy tough finishes that whole game. So they squeak out a win here and send the Pelicans home, who were for like 2 weeks early in the year the 1 seed in the West, and they bow out before the playoffs even start. So
Crazy.
yeah, well, what's your thoughts honestly on this game, and then really I think on the Pelican season as a whole?
Well, the game, honestly, one of my main takeaways actually is the fact that so we know Shea can score, but it seems like in the first half he knew how to like Lou Dort had it going in the first half. Lou Dort had what like 12 points in the first quarter, something like that.
Yeah,
He seemed like he was real under control, like he let his teammates get their buckets. Then when that third quarter came and he knew like, oh, it's my time now. It's my time to score. So that's really what I took away from that. Like you said, Josh Giddey had an amazing game. I love Josh Giddey, a great player. And the Pelicans, I don't know, man. It's Zion. That's all. That's really what it is. Like Zion needs to be healthy because when Zion is healthy, this is one of the best teams in the West. Like if
yep.
Zion is healthy this whole season, they're talked about as like a team that could potentially come out of the West. So yeah, I mean that's the only thing I gotta take away. They have a solid team. They have solid role players. Bi is great. Bi is amazing. I don't think he can be your number one player on like a championship level team. But you pair him, Zion, CJ McCollum, then you have great role players around it. That's definitely a solid team. So I mean, honestly, I don't know about that whole trade Zion rumors that they're talking about. I feel like I would just wait it out because when he plays, he's one of the best players in the league, and
Yeah.
when he plays, you guys are one of the best teams in the West. So
Yeah, and I know a lot of people saw the clips of him dunking in pregame. I know a report came out. They said that he wasn't even cleared for 5-on-5 anyway, so he wasn't playing regardless of what happened there.
mhm.
But I think it hurts them so much because they had really started to get into this mode where they were really running like point Zion, like he's bringing the ball up
Yeah.
the court and he's initiating a lot of their offense. Because when you look at their roster, they don't really have a true point guard outside of like Jose Alvarado, and he's been hurt for a few months now. So they run CJ at the one a lot, but in terms of what's really going on in the core, a lot of that is really being run now through Bi, who, for what it's worth, I think has really grown his playmaking. In this game, he had a ton of crazy passes. I finished with,
Mhm.
I think 6, 7 assists in this game. So I think the opportunity has allowed him to really grow as a playmaker, but they're definitely lacking, I think, a true point guard or a consistent facilitator there. But they have a ton of young talent in Trey Murphy and Herb Jones. And then, like I said, with Alvarado there too as well. He's locked up for I think 3 more years. Um,
Their core is
yeah,
together. He just has to be healthy. That's really
he
what it
definitely
is.
got to be healthy because like I said they were the 1 seed in the West for about 2 weeks early in the
Yeah.
season, and they looked like unstoppable when Zion was healthy. And so I don't know what they got to do. I don't know what they got to get. They got to get that hamstring right. They got to
They
get that
gotta
lower
stop feeding him
body
that
right.
gumbo. That's what it is. Stop feeding him that
Yeah,
gumbo.
good
You need to
eats,
get out
good eats.
out of that good eat. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah,
I don't even
man.
blame him, to
But
be honest. But yeah, they got a
yeah,
good future though. They got a real good future.
yeah. I got a lot of good friends that some Pelicans fans that I know are definitely disappointed. Some of them think this season was a waste. But yeah, like you said, they definitely got a bright future. Interesting to see where they go from here in terms of what they're going to do with CJ's contract. I think he's locked up for one more year after this. I think he signed a 2-year deal, so
Yeah, I think
they
so.
have at least one more year of CJ. So maybe a little bit of flexibility there. Maybe he gets moved, but um, they're gonna have to do something soon because they can't just keep sitting on their hands with Zion like this.
Do you think they're actually gonna like explore trading him?
I don't think they're going to explore trading him, but they gotta do something at this point because
Hmm.
I think he's played 26 or 27% of his total games since he's come into the league, which is just
Yeah, it's bad.
they
It's
can't be
bad.
that low. He's already signed the 5-year rookie extension. Like they got him locked in, but they got to get his health right because, like you said, when
Yeah,
they're on the court completely healthy, they're a problem.
100%.
Moving into the last two games in the play-in that happened yesterday. The first one, we had the Heat taking down the Bulls. So they're locking up the 8 seed. They're going to be going against Milwaukee, which is going to be
Good luck.
honestly right. They're going to lose the series. Quick early prediction. I think they're going to lose the series. But if I was Milwaukee, I'd much rather play Chicago
100%.
because the type of physicality that's going to be required to play against the Heat in the playoffs. Um, it's going to be draining, and in the East, where you already know that second and third round is going to be a dogfight. Luckily the Bucks are not going to have to take on the Celtics or the Sixers until that the Eastern Conference Finals. But that Heat series is going to be draining, even if it is a sweep, because Jimmy and Bam are going to play physical. So good on the Heat. They were down for a lot of this game. I think it was like still in the 60s going into the fourth quarter. It was looking like Michael Jordan NBA Finals scoreline.
Hmm.
But the Heat were able to turn it on late. Bam finally got it going on defense at least. I think he was 1 for 9 at one point in this game. I still think he's way too passive on offense, and that hinders, I think, a lot of their ability to really make any type of playoff run, especially with their shooting being as bad as it is. But like you said earlier, right? Max Strus had a 31-point game. He kind of was letting it fly. So, what you think about this game, and then kind of just that first round matchup with Milwaukee.
So the game, honestly, my main takeaway, I feel like this is why the Bulls really need to do something because you're not really gonna go anywhere when you have Zach LaVine as your best player, even DeMar DeRozan is your best player. Like you have no chance of coming out of the East. Like
Yeah.
it's just not gonna happen. And the fact that Zach LaVine is so inconsistent sometimes, like he just had a 39-point game the game
Yep.
before, had a 15-point game with terrible shooting. So they really need to do something in the offseason. And honestly, I have no idea what they're gonna do. I have no idea what they should do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's a little tough for them. But honestly, for the next round matchup, if I was the Bucks, I'd be pissed because
Right.
because you potentially had, I don't want to say a cakewalk to the Eastern Conference Finals, but you went from playing possibly the Bulls or the Hawks.
Hmm.
And the Cavs are a good team. I'm not going to disrespect the Cavs,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they're not the Sixers, they're not the Celtics,
Exactly.
none of
That's
that.
this. They one
So
step below.
exactly. So it's
Right.
like I thought the Celtics had a tough path because they were going to potentially have to go from the Heat to the Sixers, then the Bucks. So now it's like the Bucks have a tougher path. So if I was a Bucks fan, I'd be kind of pissed. They are gonna win this series. Like this
Hmm.
series is not in doubt or anything. But like you said, the Heat just play tough. Like it's just draining, and it's just I feel like it's just annoying. They're one of those teams where it's just annoying to play them. It's
Yep.
like you go into the next series, now you're tired because you just had a dog fight in the previous series. So
Hmm.
definitely a little tough. But yeah, like the Bucks are a good team. They're gonna pull it out. They're gonna be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. I don't know where the Bulls go from here either. I think. I know I saw Kenny from Through the Wire tweet about it. He hopes that this is the end of that whole big three in
It needs to be.
Chicago with DeMar, Zach, and Vooch.
Yeah.
If I was a Bulls fan personally, just from what I've seen, I would get Vucevic on the first train out of there. It's no, I mean, it just the fit wasn't perfect, right? And I think this is a
Yeah.
whole different conversation if Lonzo is healthy, because I think Caruso is probably first team all defense this year. He's been that good.
Hmm.
And so a backcourt with him and Lonzo is like, okay, the defense is on lock to the point where you might be
Elite.
able to, you know, kind of carry the fact that Vucevic really is a negative defender on defense, especially like when it comes to rim protection. But losing Lonzo is so much of a big hurt to this roster, and they just don't have any way to really kind of fill that gap. And so, yeah, I don't know what they do from here. Zach LaVine, like you said, I don't think Zach or DeMar can be the number one guy on a team that really is, serious about trying to win a championship. But I don't really think they have a way to try to add a number one guy. So
Yeah,
I don't really
exactly.
know where they go from here. It's like, you can't really have a soft rebuild. You almost kind of have to blow it up, but then that sucks. It's like you put all this talent together and you got one playoff appearance out of it.
That's what I'm saying. The Bulls are a team where it's like I don't really see what their future is. Like even teams that are bad, you can kind of see what their future is or like what they should do. I have no idea what the Bulls even should do going into the offseason. So that's a little tougher than I'm sorry if you're a Bulls fan. I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's a little bleak, definitely a little bleak. Moving on to the last game of the plan, we got the Thunder and the Timberwolves in a game where, like I said in my playing preview, the Thunder haven't played with a center all year. They play Jalen Williams, Jalen with a Y Williams at center. He's what, like 6'8", something like that. He's giving up a lot of size on the interior, and it definitely came back to bite them in this game. Tons of points in the paint. Rudy Gobert had 21 and 10. Anthony Edwards finished with 19 and 10. Cat almost had 30 and 11. So they just were getting mauled down low, and it's not much you can do about that. Doesn't help that the Thunder had a horrible shooting night. It felt like they had a rim on the basket, or not a rim, a lid on the rim all game, especially early on. They had a lot of good looks that just weren't falling for them that normally drop in a lot of their games this year. So the Thunder do bow out with the 15 or some first round picks that they have in the next
Yeah.
3 or 4 drafts. So they're definitely not complaining about it because now they definitely lock in a lottery pick. They kind of enter into the Wembanyama sweepstakes. They probably have like a 1 or 2% chance to get that first pick. But who knows, man? Sam Presti has made crazy trades before. I've said it a couple times that they got the option, to really obviously bring Chet back healthy next year. And then they have so much draft capital they're sitting on. They can go and trade for the next disgruntled superstar. They can go trade for trying to get a guy maybe like Bradley Beal out of Washington and just continue to add to that young core. You bring in Chet, who had flashes of being obviously, they overly used term unicorn on offense, but
Yeah.
actually a really good rim protector at Gonzaga. All of a sudden, it's like this is a scary lineup you have here, and like you still can run relatively small. You might be able to bump Lou Dort down to the 4 against teams that aren't running, 2 bigs, and have Chet just kind of hold it down in the middle. And it's like, man, Shea, Giddy, Brad Beal, like this is a scary little combo, or insert any type of star player there. So the future for the Thunder, unlike the Bulls, is like the complete opposite. It's like if you
Yeah,
could buy
definitely.
stock in the team, I would be pumping all my money into the Thunder right now.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, I feel like this is a game the Timberwolves should have won. Like you said, Thunder don't play a center. Like they literally don't play anyone over what 6'8".
They
So it's
don't
like when
have
you
one on the roster really, except
yeah,
for
so it's
like
like
Chet.
yeah, so when you're the Timberwolves, you have Carlton Towns, Rudy Gobert. I'm not the biggest Rudy Gobert fan, but he's what 7'2" still. Like this is definitely a game they should have dominated in the paint. That's exactly what they did. Cat should have had a big game. That's exactly what he did. So I mean, it makes sense for Minnesota to win this game. But yeah, like you said, the Thunder. Honestly, yeah, if I'm a Thunder fan, I'm happy. We improved from last year. I think they were projected to win. I think like 20 games this season or
Yeah,
something
something
like that. They
crazy.
won
Yeah.
40. So I mean, like, yeah, without their second overall pick. So yeah, if I'm a Thunder fan, I'm happy. Shea's obviously like a superstar in the making. So they have, like you said, 15 picks. If I'm a Thunder fan, I'm happy. I'm not disappointed. This was a good season. This is a step in the right direction for sure.
Right. And you've got solidified, I'll say, a superstar in Shea. He's made the jump. We don't need to be
I can see
kind of
that.
teeter on the edge about it. He's
I
made
got
the
you. I
jump.
got you.
Right? Ain't nobody, there's nobody in the league playing like him. I know he was talking about it before. He gets to his spots, finishes at the rim, short mid-range game, gets all his buckets exclusively basically in the paint at the free throw line. So, and what is he, 23, 22, whatever he
Yeah,
is, he's
he's still
like,
young. He's
right,
still
he's
young.
got multiple seasons before he even really gets his prime. So we're seeing the
Oof.
beginning of some scary for the Western Conference. So this actually is a perfect transition. We'll get right into that first Western Conference playoff matchup. So like the Timberwolves win this game, slots them into the 8th seed. They're going to be going and taking on the Denver Nuggets and MVP candidate Nikola Jokic. Honestly, when I look at this matchup, I think the Nuggets obviously have the upper hand here. And I think it may be a little bit tougher for them to get out of the first round than if they would have gone up against a team like the Thunder, just because of like the sheer talent that the Timberwolves have, and the ability for them to play Cat and Gobert. Maybe switch around some of the lineups, put Cat at the 5, have Gobert on the bench. They have a little bit more versatility in some of their lineup decisions there, but ultimately, I don't think this is going to be too much of a series. At the most, I maybe say Nuggets in 6, but wouldn't be surprised if it was in 5. I just don't think the Timberwolves are going to have a great answer for the Nuggets offense. I think, honestly, this is probably the best Nuggets roster that Jokic has had, really, especially since he's been at this MVP level.
Agreed.
Right. Aaron Gordon, I think, is probably playing the best basketball of his career. Jamal Murray's really started to get back in his flow, and we know what he does in the playoffs.
Oh yeah. Some people forget. People forget he was in that bubble. People forget what Jamal Murray was doing, man.
Bubble
Jamal Murray
Jamal
was
Murray
hooping.
was special. Bubble
He was
Jamal
he was
Murray was
he was
special.
different. Jamal Murray
Yeah.
was different.
Him
But
and Donovan Mitchell was going at it. So if
mhm.
he's, even 75, 80% of that, and you have, Michael Porter Jr. just contributing, and they got, deep pieces there on their bench. I just think it's going to be too much for Minnesota again. The loss of Jaden McDaniels cannot be, overstated here, how much that is really going to impact the series. Just having such a great wing defender, lengthy defender, switchable defender. They haven't officially, confirmed it, but like I can't play basketball with a club, right? It's like his
No, yeah,
season is
he's done.
his season is
Yeah,
over,
he's
right?
done.
Like,
He's done.
so even if he was there, I would still take the Nuggets, but I think it makes it that much of an easier series for Jokic. So I say Nuggets probably get out of here in 6 games at the most, but realistically, I say 5.
I think it's funny how like Minnesota they made this trade. Like that Rudy Gobert trade, this should be the reason you made the Rudy Gobert trade, like have someone who can bang with Jokic a little bit. But with that being said, I just they don't have enough talent for me. I just feel like they're just gonna be not good enough to upset Denver. I don't see Denver losing this series. I think it ends in 5. I can see it being 6. I can see that, but I don't know. Minnesota to me is just it just lacks talent. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I don't really see an upset here. So
Yeah, and I think it's tough because of how Rudy Gobert plays a lot of these pick and rolls, and you see what he did in Utah. He's phenomenal at like drop coverage, sitting at the rim. And so it's
mhm.
like if you get into some of these pick and rolls where Jokic is the ball handler or even the screener, it's like he has the ability to really work in the mid range, pick and pop out for a 3. It's like you can't really just sit and drop coverage against that. And so then your options are, well, do I keep him in and just hope, or like what are we gonna do? Do we like
Yeah.
do we then take him off the court? It's like we just traded like 5 first-round picks for a guy that again is getting played off the court in the playoffs. So Chris Finch is going to have his hands full, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And the Timberwolves will definitely have some stuff to look at in the offseason, because not the greatest of seasons. Definitely been a ton of up and down, and some stuff out of their control. Cat had the calf strain, which kind of sidelined him for like 3 months.
Mhm.
But the Rudy Gobert experiment, I would say so far, it has not gone as planned, and it's been underwhelming for them for sure.
100%.
Moving on to the 2-7 matchup in the West,
Oh,
probably one
oh
of,
my
if not
God.
the most anticipated playoff series here. We've got the Grizzlies and the Lakers. I'm not even going to say anything to start. I'm just going to give it to the in-house Laker fan here. I'll let you just. What are your thoughts? That's just open
All
forum.
right. So if I'm being completely unbiased, it's gonna be a great series. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be a great series. It's not gonna be the Lakers fan in me wants, say Lakers in 4, but nah, it's not gonna be. It's gonna be a great series for sure. I will say though, I genuinely feel like we should win this series just because no Steven Adams, no Brandon Clark. So Jaren Jackson Jr. is pretty much your only real big, and he has that Karl Anthony Towns problem where he cannot stay out of foul trouble. So I feel like if AD is the way he should be in this series, getting Triple J in foul trouble, I feel like it's gonna be really tough for Memphis to pull it out if he's constantly in foul trouble the whole series. So I mean, with that being said, we don't really have anyone that can guard Ja. I'm not gonna lie. He's probably gonna go off this series. But I feel like I said, it's definitely gonna be a real good series. I don't see it being like one team getting handled either way, Memphis or the Lakers. I just see it going probably 6 or 7. It's gonna be a really good series.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth about it. I've been kind of looking at what other people have been predicting, just seeing what the consensus is, and it's really up in the air. I've seen
Mhm.
people put Lakers in 5, 6. I've seen people Grizzlies in 6, 7.
Same, yeah.
So it's real up in the air in terms of who's gonna win. I think if I saw the betting odds right, I think the Lakers are actually the favorites in the series
Oh, really?
on Vegas. I think,
Wow,
unless I saw it wrong,
wow. I didn't even
um,
know
which may not be the greatest thing because the Grizzlies might take that real
that.
personally.
Exactly.
uh, but yeah, like you said, it's a lot of interesting matchups. Like you said, I don't think the Lakers really have anybody that can stop Ja. He's going to really be able to get to the rim at will. A lot of it is going to come down to AD as a rim protector and being able to, play that help side rotation. But again, at the same time, Jaren shouldering as much of the load interior wise, especially without, Steven Adams. He's been out for, it's felt like the whole season at this point. It's been at least
Hmm.
like 3-4 months. Um, he's consistently had issues staying out of foul trouble. He's going to have a tall task having to, defend, AD and then working in the pick and roll with LeBron and AD or Austin Reeves and AD. So there's a lot of key factors there. Honestly, I think this, regardless of who wins, I think this is going to be a 7-game series. I think the Grizzlies are honestly they're playoff vets now at this point, right? Like they made it out of the play-in. Was it two
Hmm.
years ago, right? And they were playing. What did they play in that first series? I don't even remember, but they
You
they
talking about
play,
you talking about the year that they
they
kicked out
came out of the
Curry,
play-in. Yeah,
where
yeah.
they kicked out Curry? They
It's
played.
Utah, right? That
I think
seems
it was
right.
Utah. I think it was Utah.
They played them close in that first series, and then
Yeah.
obviously last year, going and playing the Warriors tight. Um,
Hmm.
they have experience and know what it takes to win in the playoffs. So I think that alone is gonna stretch this series out. Um, I'm interested to see what this version of playoff LeBron is really gonna look like
I'm
because I
just
was
hoping. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry
yeah
to
I was
cut
gonna
you
say because
off.
I was watching the playing game and it really kind of feel like we've reached that point where it's like is that top gear really still there?
Hmm.
Especially on both ends of the floor. Because it feels like, I mean, he always has had to conserve energy at times, but the defense is like, I mean, a lot of times it feels like that's your guy. It's like you need to be doing that closer like LeBron. Like everybody is working, like the ball is kicking to your corner, and like you're not there. So it's
Yeah.
like he's gonna have to go to that top gear, and I'm always gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, being LeBron. But he is going to have moments in the series where like he continues to put his stamp, like, nah, I'm him. Um, for I think them to get out because this Grizzlies team is tough. They're deep, like 10, 11 players deep. They have great shooters coming off the bench, and Santi Aldama and Luke Kennard. So like Lakers defense is going to have to be on point. And they're AD is going to have to show up. He's going to have to, like you said, he's going to have to get Jaren in foul trouble and be a dominant force on the inside to really keep these games close and give them chances to win. And they're gonna have to steal one in Memphis. So my official pick would be Lakers in 7. Um, but again, I really would not be surprised if the Grizzlies pulled this one off, and it's a crazy matchup either way. I'm really excited. I'm gonna be locked into every single game because I think it's going to be a back and forth, real grinded out series for both of these teams.
Yeah, I feel like honestly, I really feel like the Lakers team as a whole, the Laker playoff run as a whole comes down to Anthony Davis and also like the extra pieces, like
Yeah.
the key role players, Austin Reeves, Dennis Schroeder, D'Lo, all of them. Because like you said, I don't want LeBron to have to play 40 minutes every night, drop
Mhm.
38 like every night. Like there has to be games where Austin Reeves steps up, he has a 20-point game. Schroeder steps up, Rui Hachimura steps up. And like I need a couple monster AD games out of the Lakers
Yeah.
if they want to make a run. Like not even just in this series, just in general in the playoffs.
Yeah. Because
Because you
this
seen in the
is,
playoff game, in the playing game, LeBron looked gassed. Like in that
yeah.
fourth quarter and overtime, he looked tired. So I mean, at the end of the day, he still is old. He still is like 105 years old. So
Right.
like we
And
can't have
dealing
him.
with and dealing with the foot injury still.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like
Yep.
we can't have. He doesn't. He shouldn't need to be Superman at this point in his career. Like he
Right.
wasn't like 2018 carrying that Cavs team or something
Not
like
with
that.
this roster, especially. Yeah.
Exactly. That was the whole reason we made the trade to give him a better team around him so that pieces can step up. There could be times where he doesn't have to bring the ball up the court every time. We have like Vando who can play defense, so he doesn't have that pressure of guarding the other team's best player or something like that. So I mean, honestly, like I said, it comes down to the extra pieces and Anthony Davis being Anthony Davis.
Yep. It's gonna be a crazy one
It's gonna be
for
a great
sure.
series. Lakers,
Yep.
Lakers though. Lakers winning. We pulling this out. We pulling this out. We're not losing. Come on, now we're not losing.
Moving on to the 4-5 matchup out west. To me, I think this is probably honestly flying under the radar a little bit too much in terms of how much hype I think it should be getting as a series. Got the Suns and the Clippers. I think a lot of that is probably due to the Paul George injury.
Mm-hmm.
He's at least been ruled out for I think the first one or two games of the series. They haven't announced anything further than that, but um, I don't know if he's going to come back at all, but I think if he was healthy, this would be like the series to watch, hands down.
100%.
But even still, that aside, it's still going to be, Kawhi versus KD, which I don't know. Have we ever seen them match up in the playoffs? I'm trying to think.
We've
They
seen
played
it
them in
when he was in the
the
Spurs. He
Spurs.
got hurt in that series though, so we didn't
Yeah,
fully see it. You know what I mean?
yeah. And then when he was in Toronto, and KD got hurt.
Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah. So, so we never really
Right,
seen
we've
it in
never
like a
seen
full
them really
playoff
get to
series.
duke it out. So that's going to be obviously great to watch. I think I saw a stat. KD is like 19-1 since January, like going back to his time with the Nets.
Whoa,
Like he's
I
only
didn't even know that.
yeah, because
That's crazy.
he was winning and he got hurt. He had the knee injury and came back, got traded. Won, rolled his ankle in a little layup line. um, Boy, need to do that calf raises.
McCaffrey.
But yeah, rolled his ankle. But yeah, he's. I don't know if he's. I don't think he's lost since he's been in Phoenix in games.
Nah, he's undefeated. They're like 8-0.
Right. So it's gonna be, I think, a really good series with no Paul George. I honestly think it's gonna be tough for the Clippers to win. My official pick would be Suns in 6. If he's able to come back, I still think it's going to be too late. Like he needs to be there from the jump, just from how big of a juggernaut Phoenix is from a just a talent perspective. What I really need to see from this series is I need to see DeAndre Ayton take over. I don't even need it to be a whole game. I don't need to have crazy dominating performances. I just need to see stretches where it's like, we're they're switching around, right? I have Batum on me. I need the ball, right? Like I need him to take that initiative to be like, I'm a number 1 overall pick. I can play like it, right? Because if
Mm.
he gets going, I think he really can be the key to unlocking like the unstoppable offense for Phoenix, right? Because KD don't need a ton of shots, hyper efficient, right? D Book don't need a ton of shots. He's gonna find his in the flow of the game, right? CP gonna be moving the ball to all these dudes. If Ayton gets going and we get him going on pick and rolls, lobs, dunker spot, low block touches, it's like, bro, how do you guard this team? So it's like if he can get going, then obviously he gets rolling into these next couple playoff series. Then I think we're really talking about already the Suns on paper being contenders, but it's like we're seeing it with our eyes. It's like this is why. So I would say Suns in 6. Like I said, it's tough with the Paul George injury. Obviously, it's going to be great to see Kawhi healthy, really duking it out back and forth. But As deep as this Clipper team is, and as great of I think Coach Ty Lue is, and especially making those in series adjustments. I just think it's honestly a tough draw getting the Suns in the first round. All that talent that they have over there out in Phoenix.
Yeah, Suns in 6, honestly, that's my prediction too. I think Suns are winning this in 6. I don't really see a world without Paul George that Clippers can win this series. Like I said, even when Paul George comes back, is he going to come back at 100%? He's going to come back and be like Paul George that we know that is like a great player in this league. So I mean, I don't really see a world where the Clippers. It's going to be entertaining regardless, but I don't really see a world where the Clippers can actually beat the Suns. But I thought that DeAndre Ayton take was really interesting because he really could be like the X factor in
Mhm.
turning them from like a great team into like the juggernaut team. So I definitely
Right.
see where you're coming from right there because we know what KD's gonna do. We know what Devin Booker's gonna do. We know what Chris Paul is gonna do. Like it's like that's
And we
known
don't
already.
need Chris Paul to do much at this
I'm gonna say
point, right?
it's not even just scoring, like just setting everybody up,
Right.
facilitating. Um, Also, I do think though it is gonna be interesting at this point in his career how he'll hold up on defense, Chris Paul.
Mhm.
Because right now, I mean, he's not the same player obviously that he was before in his
Yeah.
prime or anything. So that is gonna be something to watch. Maybe not necessarily in this series. Maybe if they make it to like playing like more like top tier guards later on in the playoffs. So that's gonna be something to watch. But I
Mhm.
definitely agree with that DeAndre Ayton take. I feel like he could be a huge X factor in that run this year.
Yeah. And going back to that point about Chris Paul and defense, something that I think Ty Lue is really going to have to do, just as a reality of the situation, but honestly could prove to be, the best option here is like we're about to start Westbrook, and we're about to just let him work.
Yeah, I mean
Because
that
right,
could
like
work. He's not gonna be
if
able to stay in front of him,
yeah,
that's
right,
for
if Chris
sure.
Paul is checking him, right, and they got some they don't got beef, right, but they butted heads before in the
Yeah,
past,
they
right?
got
Like,
a little tension. They got a little bit of tension. I don't think it at this point at Westbrook's career, like he said the same thing about KD. He's like, there's no beef. Like it's nothing but respect. I think he's just
yeah,
more like a I don't really want beef with anybody right now
right.
at his point in his career. But they had a little going back and forth
Right. He bringing the intensity regardless.
for sure.
So yeah, I think he could honestly be a key piece to the Clippers, maybe getting a game or two in the series is because he still has it in him to have those random, here we go, 30, 10, and 10 crazy
Hmm.
stat line type nights. So um he could bring a lot of energy to this game, to the series as a whole. And who knows, right? They come out, maybe, pull one or two out early. Paul George can maybe come back towards the back half of the series and they can keep it tight. Maybe there is a world where this goes to 7 and, you get to a game 7 with Kawhi Leonard, KD. It's just like, who's going to make the shots, right? So, like, that's really the best you could hope for, I would imagine, as a Clippers fan is just, with the supporting cast, with guys like Russ and Zubac, like, we can kind of at least just, make it that long. We just need to hold on and hope that PG can come in and, we get a somewhat fully healthy lineup for, game 6 or 7. So as it sits right now with how they're hurt, I think we both have, Suns in 6, but
Hmm.
definitely a series I'm going to be completely locked into.
It'll
And
be entertaining
last,
regardless. Yeah.
for sure, yeah. Last but definitely not least, Kings,
Oof.
Warriors.
This is an interesting one. This is a real interesting one.
I'm coming out early. I got Kings in 7.
Oh, Kings and 7. See, it's crazy because like I don't even like right now, I don't know who I'm picking. Like I genuinely, because bro, I've seen plenty of people like, oh yeah, the Warriors against the King. I think people haven't really watched the Kings play basketball. I think they're just going off
Yeah.
the fact that they're the Kings. So like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people like play at Golden State in 5, Golden State. I'm like, bro, the Kings are a good basketball team.
Yes.
They can't guard, but they're a good basketball team.
All right.
But I mean, the main thing that is the factor to me in this series is the fact that Kings have home court advantage and Golden State cannot win on the road. Like they can't
Exactly.
win on the road. So it's like
Yep.
I really want to lean Kings, but it's like, am I really gonna bet against Steph Curry and Klay Thompson? Like,
I've
I
been
don't
going back and
know.
forth on this for days. I think earlier in the week I
Ah,
was in the spaces and I said I thought the Warriors were going to win. But like the more I just keep thinking about it, and it's something I was talking about was right. Like we want to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? 4-time champs,
right.
they've done it so many times before, right? But it's like they didn't even really like. Usually, you see teams like veteran teams, they start to turn it on at the end, right?
Hmm.
it's like they still like sputtering out to the finish line
Yeah.
right at the end, almost was in the play-in still, right? Like
Mhm.
so they still have those road struggles, right? Sacramento, if y'all have watched any Kings games, that crowd is going to be going
Oh, it's
nuts.
gonna. Oh my God, it's gonna be crazy. That game one is going to be insane.
They're going to be going nuts. Now, granted, right, like the Kings, I think have been the healthiest team all year. It's like maybe like sometime in March, there was a stat like their starters had missed a combined like 11 games all year. It was like the lowest in the NBA. So like they've lucked out, been relatively healthy. A lot of that has contributed to why they're able to get the 3 seed. But again, like you said, like the Warriors have not been able to win on the road all year. I think they finished like
They have the
9 or
second worst road record
right,
behind the tanking Houston Rockets or something like that.
right. So that I think plays a large role into it, especially because again, if the series gets to Game 7, it's in Sacramento. That crowd is like the
Ooh.
beam is gonna blow the earth up or something. Like if they were able to pull
Yeah.
it off. Now look, obviously, again, like I wouldn't be shocked if the Warriors were able to close this out in like 6 games or whatever, right? But like, what I want to see? Honestly, I would want to see the Kings win. I think that would be a great story. I think it would be, validation for De'Aaron Fox for, sticking it out there for so long. Validation that they made the right move in terms of getting Sabonis in there, in terms of that honestly being a win-win trade on both sides, honestly.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's gonna be a crazy series, and you can't forget Mike Brown was with the Warriors last season. So if
That
anybody
is
can,
true.
and he's a defensive, minded coach. So
Hmm.
his team's defensive side in terms of just pure scheme, he knows what Steve Kerr likes to run, right? Like he's in those locker rooms for the past few seasons. So if anybody is going to be able to scheme up something to try to, slow down Steph, Clay, Wiggins, Dante, Jordan Poole, right? Like it's going to be him. Um, and again, something I'm interested to see in this matchup is Davion Mitchell getting his opportunity to get, however many minutes he's able to get a game. And, maybe that's 20, 22 minutes a night, right? Like, what can he bring on defense against Steph? Because I think if I was him, I would be looking to watch a lot of guys like Drew Holiday,
Right.
Dellavedova from, years ago. Like,
Hmm.
I
People
think
made him work a little bit.
right. J.R. Smith was just on JJ Redick's podcast, and he said that final series, he said Dellavedova nearly died. Like he would literally he would end the games and like be so exhausted, like can't even talk, like just going to the ice tub.
Oh, I believe it. I
So
guarding Steph all game. Yeah, I
right,
definitely believe
and he legitimately like they call him off night for a reason, right? So if he can have, even if it's one game where it's like, man, he like really got Steph, frazzled, right, for like one quarter.
it.
Like I said, that could be enough because again, we go to Game 7 in Sacramento, whatever. Like that's all the Kings might need is just like one good break. So I think if he can have any type of performance where like he really locks in on defense and is just like full effort going over every screen, not allowing himself to just get caught up in stuff, really locked in, face guarding Steph. That's something I'm just interested to see as a whole, and hopeful that he can really bring a little X factor to the Kings side of things. But as much as the Warriors offense is going to be so hard to stop for the Kings, who's guarding Sabonis?
That is true. That is
I
true.
have watched Sabonis take on every big in the league, and he hit them with the same left hand. Here go a little drop
Right.
step here, a little here, like
Right.
that
And
super
no one's
fundamental,
stopping it. Ain't no one
right?
been stopping it.
And
But
that him and Fox pick and roll is going to be crazy. It's probably I can't wait to like the advanced stats come out after the series. It's probably
mhm.
going to be like the most dribble handoffs in a playoff series ever because all both
Oh
of these
yeah, between them two, yeah,
Kevin Herter
100%.
doing dribble handoffs, Sabonis handoffs, Draymond handoffs. Like it's gonna be dribble handoffs everywhere and screens like crazy. So
Mm,
uh I said I'm taking Kings in 7. I wouldn't be shocked if the Warriors are able to pull it out, but that's what I would like to see. And honestly, like if I had to put money on it, I put my money on the Kings. I probably get a lot of bread for
oh yeah,
it.
100%.
Um,
Um, I have a question to ask you. All right, first of all, I'm gonna say I agree. I think if Golden State wins this series, it's gonna have to be in six. I genuinely don't think they could win the game seven. Because at first I was gonna say Warriors in seven, but it's like that's in Sacramento. I don't
yeah,
know with that crowd, with their
crowd
terrible
gonna
road
be
record.
crazy.
So I mean, it's not really going out on a limb. I'm gonna just say Warriors in six. I'm gonna just trust Steph Curry. I
Mm,
will not be surprised if that's wrong. I actually want it to be wrong because when my Lakers beat Memphis, I'd rather play the King
yeah.
than Golden State. So I want it to be wrong, but I'm gonna say Golden State in six. My question is, how much of an impact do you think Andrew Wiggins coming back is gonna have? Because he hasn't played since I don't even know when. Like he missed like
Yeah,
what 20 games?
yeah, a lot. And I think they said he's coming back. He's coming off the bench. He's
Hmm.
starting with like 20 or some minutes on like a minutes restriction to like kind of get him, conditioned back up into it.
Yeah,
I think getting him back is huge for their playoff run as a whole, but in this particular series, right, like that's their best perimeter defender, right? Like Clay, you've seen him kind of progress back, but I don't know if we'll ever see that same level of defender from Clay, which is like unfortunate, but like what can you do with the injuries, right? But
hmm,
with Wiggins being back, that again gives them another look in terms of being like, well, okay, here comes a Sabonis Fox pick and roll. It's even switchable to an extent at that point. Like I'm not pulling
yeah,
my hair out if I'm Steve Kerr. If it's like, well, dang, now we got Wiggins on the block with Sabonis. He can hold his own. Like he's not just gonna get completely bullied out there, right? Like,
hmm,
so it's like if you have like now you got Wiggins and Draymond playing that pick and roll instead of like Clay and Draymond or Steph and Draymond, right? Like, um, especially down the stretch when it's like, okay, these buckets matter. We need to start like matching up. That I think is where Wiggins' impact is really going to shine in this series. And then again, like if he gets going on offense, right? Like there's just so much shooting on that Warriors roster. That's like, bro, what are you going to do?
yeah,
Um, and as good again, as crazy as the Sacramento offense has been all year, that's not a team I want to get into a shootout with. That's not a team
exactly.
I even want to be in the clutch with, even though I think Aaron Fox is the clutch player of the year. Like, I don't even want it to be like it's a scary situation because yeah, you could be down by or you could be up by 6 and think it's cushy, and then like, oh, now I'm down by 3. Like they just hit
That's
three quickly.
that's probably the main reason why I'm picking the Warriors, is because I just feel like with a team as bad as Sacramento is on defense, I'm just gonna trust that Steph is just gonna win a game by himself. Just gonna have one of them games like he had in what was that game 4 last year,
Yeah,
where
he's gonna have that kind of.
like
He's
he
gonna have a
just is
couple of
gonna
wild
go
stat lines.
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just gonna go off and just like even if they're not playing too great, he's just gonna go off and like win a game by himself. So I'll
Yeah.
ride with the vets. I'll ride with the Warriors. They're probably gonna let me down, but I mean, hey, whatever.
Yeah, the only way the Kings, like their recipe to success has to be right. You have to minimize the bleeding. Like the Warriors are going to go on runs. Like you have to find ways to like either keep up or you got to like cut it off, right? Especially when that third quarter come around. Like that third quarter
Hmm.
Warriors is a real thing. It's like they have to find a way to like minimize that as much as they can. And then on offense, right? Like if Sabonis and Fox are going, I need Keegan Murray going. I need Kevin Herter going. I
Right.
need Trey Lyles going. Like Shemezi Metu, whoever it is that's like getting these key minutes, like y'all have got to be contributing. They got to be knocking down shots. They got to just be able to keep pace. Um, and then again, right, like if we get to these, clutch time buckets, like what it's worth, I'll put De'Aaron Fox up against anybody to like get it done if I need a bucket. So
Hmm.
this will be a great stage for him to really get his first taste of the playoffs. Um, and so look, the crowd's gonna be crazy in
It's
Sacramento.
gonna be a fun, like, regardless of who, it's gonna be a fun series. Like, even from like just off the fact that the scoring is gonna be so crazy, like it's gonna be a great series to watch, no matter who
Yeah,
wins.
for sure. Well, that's it for the West. We're gonna move on to the East, and we'll knock this one out pretty quick. We'll start with the top seeds first. So first
East
round,
is not as exciting. It's so like
yeah, the
the
East second
first,
round is gonna be crazy.
the second round's gonna be yeah, it's gonna be great, but the first round is just like you can't really pick no upsets in this. But I'll let you
You're
go ahead. Go
right.
ahead.
Yeah. So start off with the Bucks heat. I know we kind of touched on it already.
Hmm.
I've got Bucks in, I say 5. Um, out of the Heat do not impress me. I didn't expect them to, um, I didn't expect them to lose that opening game against the Hawks. So I'm even more concerned. They almost didn't make it out of the play-in, right? The Bulls
Right.
up for most of that game. So they they don't impress me too much. Like, regardless, they're going to play physical, like we said. Jimmy and Bam are going to make them work. But the Bucks are just way too deep, way too talented. This roster is like ridiculous. They're too loaded. Yeah, so I mean, we got to spend too much time on it. I got Bucks in 5.
That's it, pretty much the same thing. Bucks and five. He can't score. Like they can't score the
Yeah,
basketball. So it's like I don't see them. I'm saying 5 just out of respect because Jimmy Butler's probably gonna win them a game. They're probably gonna win a game in Miami or something. But yeah, but it's Bucks and 5 for me.
yeah.
That
And
makes
the
it tough.
Bulls were clamping them up for most of that game. It's like
Yeah, they didn't just like win that game easily. Like it wasn't like they just
they
like
don't
yeah,
have
like
rim protection. Now you're going up against Giannis and Brook.
right.
Yeah,
Buck
how are y'all gonna score, man? Like,
I don't know. It's yeah. Bucks and 5.
yeah. Moving on to the 2-7 matchup out east, we have the Celtics and the Hawks. I got Celtics in 4. I think
I was about to say sweep. I was about to
this is
say
gonna be
bring the
sweet.
brooms out. Bring the brooms out. Celtics are sweeping them. They're not.
As
I'd be
much
surprised.
as
I'd be surprised if Atlanta wins the game. If I'm being honest.
yeah, if they do, I wouldn't be stunned because honestly, that game against the Heat really, that was I think the best I've seen them play, especially like from wire to wire, start to finish all year. That I think was the fastest I felt like I've seen them play, getting out in transition. Trae Young making those right decisions on all those driving kicks or scoring the ball. I felt like he was really could do whatever he wanted. When he kind of gets that offensive engine going like that,
Mhm.
they're going to be hard to stop. But it's like
They don't have
he's not
enough.
right. They don't have enough. He's not going to just be able to like do what he was able to do against the Heat. Right? There's too many perimeter defenders in Boston between Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Derek White, Jason Tatum. It's like they have so many different options to throw at you with length on the back end. It's not like even if you were able to get passes, it's not easy floaters, easy finishes. You're gonna have to deal with Rob Will, Al Horford, whoever is there at the back end who's at least going to contest the shot. They're phenomenal at just playing team defense and rotating for each other. That it's going to be hard for you to just get to your spots and make shots. And it's not going to be easy for you to do these driving kicks. There's always going to be help side defenders coming. I'm sure they're going to be trapping him on some of these high screens. Like they're just going to make it hard for him to do what he wants to do. And if Trae doesn't get going, this offense is stale. Like he is the engine. Like they only can go as he goes. So
Hmm.
again, getting DeJounte Murray is helping that, but I don't even think that they fully have reached what they want to like really mesh the two of them together. And like I said in my preview video, I think it's okay. Like that. That's where they're at right now. Like they have a new coach in Quinn Snyder, who like we saw he was able to do in Utah. It's like he honestly has a more dynamic backcourt now than he did there. So like give him a full offseason, like really get these two together. I continue to love what I see out of Onyeka and Kongu, but this is just it's not their year, right? I
Yeah,
think this is a sweep. The Celtics just have way too much talent. And especially coming off of that finals run last year, like they're hungry. They're not going to play around with their food. Like they're going to try to get out of this as fast as they can, knowing that they're going to have the Sixers most likely in the next
exactly.
round.
Excuse me, but yeah, I got Boston in a sweep. I like you said, I don't. I feel like they know that they should just end this series early, based off the fact that, like you said, they have Philly in the next round, and the fact that last year in the playoff run, all of their series were long, and as you could tell, like at the end in the finals, they were gassed. Like, or at least
Mm-hmm.
Jason Tatum seemed like he was gassed. He even said it afterwards. He was like, "Yeah, it's just I was just tired." So I
Right.
feel like in a way to disrupt Trae Young, just put great defenders, lanes, play team defense, and Boston
Mm-hmm.
has that. So it's just I don't really see a world where Atlanta can. They're definitely not gonna upset them, but I feel like it's just gonna end in a sweep. I feel like Boston's locked in. They got their eye on the prize. Like they're hungry. So I just feel like they're gonna sweep them.
Yeah, Derek White probably gonna make an all defensive team this year. Like they
Yeah,
have,
he's been solid.
he's
He's been
like
solid.
he's probably been like for stretches of games like their third best player in a lot of times. Like right, like behind JT and JB, it's like Derek
Hmm.
White is giving you consistent offensive production with like elite perimeter defense.
Yeah, he's
Um,
been a great
so
addition. Great
yeah.
addition for that team.
Hey, for Spurs fans, at least you get to see Derek White take on DeJounte Murray, both wearing different uniforms.
Right.
Moving on to the 3-6 matchup out east, we've got the Sixers and the Brooklyn Bridges led
Oh
Nets.
yeah. Oh
Uh,
yeah,
I got
Mikel
the
Jordan.
I got the Nets in 5.
You have the huh?
No, I'm
Who?
just joking. I'm just
I
joking.
was
I'm
like,
joking.
wait, huh? Wait.
Nah, I got the Sixers in 5. Um, I I almost would want to say it's a sweep too, but bro, Mikal Bridges is just so nice. I just feel like it's good. It's gonna have one game. Sixers gonna have an off game, whatever. It happens in a lot of these like kind of heavily favored series. Like one team just has an off night, other team squeaks out one win. And it's like okay, 4-1. So I got the Sixers in 5. Um, I think Nick Claxton on Joel Embiid is going to be a good matchup. Like I think Nick Claxton, honestly, his DPOY hype fell off harder than I felt like it needed to. I think he still has a really good case to probably make like second team all defense behind Brook, on the first team. So I think he's going to have an opportunity to just make Joel work as much as he can. But I mean, Joel is Joel, right? Like he's
Yeah,
no one, you can't
Professor
really
Joel.
stop him. You can only hope to get
Mm,
right. Like so, um, he gets going, Harden gets going. It's too much for the Nets to handle. But I'm just like as this Nets team gives me those old Nets vibes where it was Jarrett Allen and D'Lo, right? Like it's like
they were
just throw
fun.
to right, throw together a bunch of just quality players and just like see what happens, right? Like we're
Yeah.
not trying to win the championship like this year,
Mm,
but there's going to be, I think, just fun to watch that team work, fun to see Mikel as the number one option in a playoff series. So, yeah, I got Sixers in 5, but I think it'll be just fun to watch this Nets team go. But this will be a nice little tune up for the Sixers to, get Joel going, get out of here as quick as possible, and get ready for the dogfight of the Celtics in the next round.
that's gonna be a bloodbath. But yeah, I could definitely agree with Sixers and 5. Honestly, I wanted to say 4, but I just feel like you said, Mikel's gonna have a game where he's gonna go off. And I feel like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what it is about the Sixers team. I feel like if they were to go up like 3-0, they would just like blow one. Just like I
Right.
don't know what it. I just feel like they would just blow one just cause. So
And
um
you saw a game the other night against Boston. It was like the whole team had like a horrible shooting night. And it was like, well, Joel, you have to like literally
save
advance
us.
this game. Right.
Save
So
us.
it's like,
Yeah. Be
if
be
you get into
Superman.
that mode, I can see the Nets like squeaking out with one in Brooklyn or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can see this ending in 5. It's like I said, it's gonna be a great warm up series. This is a first round matchup. It's gonna be a great little warm up series
Mhm.
for when you play that bloodbath in Boston. So I mean, it's gonna be fun to watch though. Like I love watching Mikal Bridges. I love seeing what he's gonna do as far as like being the guy in a playoff series, like you said. So that part of it's gonna be fun. I really like this Brooklyn Nets team, but
Mhm.
they don't really have a chance. Sixers are a better team. They're gonna pull out in 5.
Yeah. Sixers are too talented, too deep, they got too much going on.
I will say I'm gonna be watching James Harden closely though, because he needs to be good for them to actually have a chance, like
Yep.
past not really this series, but just in general for their playoff run.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how he's gonna play in the playoff.
Yeah. He needs to control the game on offenses. He continues to be like the distributor that he is in the regular season, right? Like I think that the Sixers team is so dangerous because like when you look at who like the rest of their scoring is coming outside of that top 3, right? Like Joel, James, and then Tyrese. Tyrese kind of almost being like 2 some nights in terms
Yeah,
of just pure
exactly.
scoring.
Mhm.
But like their fourth option is Tobias Harris, who's like he can get buckets, right? Like and now being in the role he's in, I feel like he's better suited to just like let the offense come to him, right? He doesn't feel like he needs to force up shots because like, well, who else is going to score? It's like we have that.
Right.
You just get it when we need it, or kick out to you in the corner. You have your shots. Um, so I think if Harden can get all of that offense going, it's like you have Joel like dominating, and then it's like, well, what do we do? It's like Tobias is hitting threes, Tyrese is getting his off, like James is getting his off. The same reason it's like this team is so deep, and you have people coming off the bench, DeAnthony Melton, or he's been starting for them some, Shake Milton, George Niang. It's like they have a lot of shooting, they have a lot of good wing defenders. So yeah, like you said, he again can kind of be like the puzzle piece that really kicks everything off for them. So he needs to have a good series against his old team.
I forgot he was
I
on the
forgot
Nets.
too, right?
I forgot he was even on the Nets.
Yeah, he needs to have a good series against his old team. Like you said, get everything going and gelling right before the Celtics in the next round. This second round in the East is like we're gonna have to do a whole separate podcast previewing.
Yeah.
Just we don't even need to talk about the West at that point. Just
I
like
mean,
just the
just the
Eastern
East second round is
Conference.
gonna be oh, I can't wait. I
Yeah,
cannot wait. That's gonna be so fun. But yeah, no, yeah, I agree. Definitely. I just want to see Harden, like you said, control the game, know when to get his teammates involved, know when it's his time to score. They can't just rely on Joel to just be Superman. They're not gonna
you're
blow him
right.
from the playoff run like that. So
Exactly.
definitely agree with what you're saying.
They brought you here because you're James Harden. Like
Exactly.
I understand you got injuries and he has whatever, like the Achilles soreness he's been dealing with, whatever
Hmm.
it is, like whatever you got, like we're gonna need to see some vintage Harden moments
It
for
doesn't even
y'all
need
to
to be
really.
like a game here and there. Like there's gonna be time if they want to win a championship, there has to be like games in certain series where he is not. I'm not gonna say prime Harden, but he needs to have great games.
Right, he
You know what
needs
I'm
to
saying?
go on. He needs to go on runs, take over games. Like we
Yeah.
blink and it was like the Sixers just won on a 12-0 run and Harden scored or assisted on everything. Right, like
Right.
those are the type of runs where it's like, what are we supposed to do? It feels like it's too much because then it's like, well, if the game slowed down, it's like, oh, shoot, here you go, Joel, right? Like just go to
Exactly.
work.
Exactly.
So that's
So
gonna be it's gonna be tough for them regardless. Um, the last matchup in the East, and what I think is the best matchup in the East easily, is Cavs Knicks. I've gone back and forth about this. I know Julius Randle is now he's playing in this game. I know he's had kind of been hurt for the last couple of games. This series, and I I'm happy that it's them two facing off, but at the same time, I kind of wish I could have seen the Knicks play one of the other top teams, just because I really think they similar in a way to the Heat. Like they're gonna play hard. Like they're a Tibbs coach team. They're gonna play hard defense. There's gonna be gritty, grinding out, diving for loose balls. Like they're gonna make them work. And
hmm
now they're playing the Cavs, right? Like we're gonna get to see. It's gonna be crazy rim protection on both sides between I think Mitchell Robinson out there in New York, but Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen. It's gonna be tough for teams to just either team really to just drive at the rim at will. I think it's going to be a lot of slower paced. When the game slows down in that half court offense, like Donovan Mitchell really getting to work, Jalen Brunson getting to work, Julius Randle getting to work. So it's like I think this is going to be a series where it's just like tough, gritty, tough buckets. Like I wouldn't be shocked if there's a couple of like lower scoring games where we're like, bro, it's like 88-88 with 2 minutes to go, and like
Right.
it's just like here we go. It's like this is like winning time. So um, I've gone back and forth about it. I think this series is gonna go seven. Um, I have the Cavs coming out again. Really, just putting my money here on Donovan Mitchell. Is like he's done it before. No one on this Knicks team has really made a super deep playoff run in the role that they're currently in. Right, like Jalen Brunson was there going to the Western Conference Finals last year, but a little bit more secondary to Luka, who had such a high usage rate. Where it's like now he's kind of ish the guy at times. Him and Julius Randle kind of tag team that a little bit, but he definitely has a
hmm
bigger role. I feel like he did in Dallas. Um, but we've seen Donovan Mitchell as a lead guy here before in a series, and he just could take it over. So, and I think this Cavs team is also really deep. I'm glad we get to see Darius Garland here finally in the
Right.
playoffs, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like if the two of them really get going, it's just like it's going to be tough for the Knicks to really keep up just from I think a scoring perspective at that point, especially with Julius Randle coming off his injury, like he's not going to be 100%. So yeah, I got the Cavs in seven here, but this is definitely like the most. This is like the series to watch. If you don't watch any other Eastern Conference playoff series, like watch all of these.
Right. Yeah. This is 100% the best first round matchup in the East for sure. Honestly, I have the Cavs in six. I think the Cavs. I'm not gonna. They're not gonna win it easily, but I just feel like the Cavs are the better team. I feel
Mhm.
like they have a lot of firepower. I love the now attention that Donovan Mitchell is getting because I watched him when he was in Utah. Donovan Mitchell has always been great. Like he's always been nice. People forget, like we were talking about Jamal Murray in the bubble.
Right.
Donovan Mitchell was putting up 50-point games right with him.
He
When
was
he was
going bucket for
losing,
bucket. Right. Yeah.
exactly. So I feel like I love the attention that he's getting now. He's not gonna win MVP, but I've seen him like when people say they're top five MVP, like who they vote for, he's normally in that little fifth spot. So
Yep.
I love the attention that he's getting now. I love that he gets to be on this stage. Yeah, I'm honest. I'm really just putting my faith in him. This Cavs team, they're a great defensive team. They have great scoring, and like you said, Julius Randle coming back off injury. it's a little bit tough because like you said, you never know when a guy's coming off injury if they're gonna be themselves,
Mhm.
if they're gonna be hesitant, if they're gonna be able to play to their full potential. So I got the Cavs winning this in 6, but it's definitely I won't be surprised at all if it goes 7.
Yeah,
Um, but I got the Cavs winning this one in 6.
yeah, for sure. Did you see what Josh Hart said to Donovan Mitchell?
Wait, no, I didn't know what he say.
Donovan Mitchell posted some picture like loading for the playoffs, like basically like getting ready.
Mm.
Josh Hart commented under, he said, "F you."
Yeah, Josh Hart is
So
funny, man.
yeah,
He's
it's
a
gonna be.
funny
I
guy.
said it's
He was
gonna
a
be a
solid pickup for them too. Great pickup for
for real.
them.
Yeah, he's a Tibbs guy for real. Like he
Oh,
fits
100%.
fits that mold perfect. So
Mm. Best
this
rebounding guard in the league.
it's gonna be a gritty series. It's gonna be back and forth. I think both teams, both star players on the roster are gonna have moments. We're gonna have Darius Garland is gonna have runs where he's going crazy with Donovan Mitchell, but so is Jalen Brunson and Julius
Hmm.
Randle and maybe R.J. Barrett. I don't know what to expect from him sometimes.
You
So
never really know what you can get from
yeah,
him, but
yeah, um, but
I hope
yeah, I
Julius
think it's
Randle's
good.
100%. I definitely hope he's
Yeah, as
100%.
healthy as he can be, because he, I think, has really responded from last year better than a lot of people are giving him credit for. Is he really
Mm.
kind of like, yeah, it was a bad look coming off of that year where they were the 4 or 5 seed, right?
Around, yeah, exactly.
And he was, had that all NBA season and like kind of regressed. But I think, getting Brunson in there and having a true point guard has really like helped him, really get back into the rhythm on offense. And they just tough draw, getting the Cavs in the first round. Like
Yeah.
that's really the reality of the East. Like really, Bucks, Sixers, Celtics, and then like they're in that step down with the Cavs. Like really, just from like a talent perspective. But yeah, I don't think there's any shame in them if they go out and like you said, losing 6 or 7 games. Um, they have like they got the guy in Brunson on a crazy deal. Honestly, like what looked like an overpay to some people, I thought it was what he was worth. Then to
Hmm.
me, looks like an underpay now at this point for what he's producing. Right, like he
Right.
is worth way more than $100 million deal. But yeah, they got their guy, I think, in Brunson to be like, I don't know if he can't be a one, I don't think, but like him and Randall and like you find another guy, like bringing somebody else in
Hmm.
free agency. Who knows where this next team can go from here. Like even just sticking around as it is, they'll be competitive in the East, right? Like so, it's definitely a good spot to be in. I think if you're a Knicks fan, and a good spot for the NBA as a whole to get playoff basketball in the Garden.
Right.
I'm looking at the whole bracket now, and it's like we got Sacramento, right? The Chase Center is always going crazy when the Warriors play. Staples or my fault, crypto.com
No, no,
arena.
you had it right. I hate that name. I hate that name so much.
That's gonna be going crazy.
That
You
TD
got the
Garden.
right TD Garden, you got
Hmm.
Madison Square Garden. Like it's a
Right.
lot of like all the good arenas. I feel like that go crazy in
Yeah.
terms of just like their energy are all here in the playoffs. So man, it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be exciting. I know we're like an hour into that first game right now. Let me look at the score. That Sixers Nets game. Sixers are up by 9.
I said, imagine you just seen the Nets just
Right,
or
blowing them
just
out.
blowing them out. Yeah, up by like 30 or something.
Mikel got 11 though. Got
Listen, bro,
11.
Mikel Jordan, man.
Mikel Jordan.
Mikel Jordan, man. Tell you these, bro. Listen, between the Nets and OKC, them futures, those are my little teams to watch. I like them a lot,
For sure. This is gonna be a crazy playoffs.
bro. It's gonna be, bro. Oh my god, I can't wait, bro. I cannot wait. It's gonna be so fun.
Like I'm really glad that the parity that happened like at the beginning of the year, like
Hmm.
really held throughout the whole season, right? Like even
Facts.
honestly, even with KD going to the Suns, like I don't feel like the deck is as stacked as some people I feel like were so, like quick to be like, oh my gosh, like super team again. Like,
Mm.
I don't
They,
know. Like
they can be the favorite, but they don't. They're not like.
it's
I don't
not the
feel like
same
no
vibe
one
as
in the.
like the Warriors team was,
Yeah,
right?
like I
Like,
don't feel like no one in the West can beat Phoenix. Like I feel like if Paul George was healthy, they could have lost this series. Like if Paul George
right.
was fully healthy, they could lose that series.
Yeah.
So
It's gonna be
that's great though.
exciting, man. Gonna wrap it up here with a little game segment called Put Your Bread on It. So I got 5 different scenarios. if you had to bet, right, you got $100, you got to put money on one of the two things happening. Which one are you going to put your bread on?
All right, bet.
First one here, more likely to happen. Chris Paul wins his first ring, or Jason Tatum wins his first ring.
Chris Paul or Jason Tatum. Okay. Um, I'm gonna say Chris Paul. I'm gonna say Chris Paul, just because I feel like obviously the Celtics are a great team.
Mm-hmm.
Their path is a little bit harder,
For
just
sure.
because they're gonna have to play Philly. They're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to play Philly, then they're gonna have to go through Milwaukee, and then they're gonna have to play whoever comes out of the West.
Yep.
The Suns, I feel like the Clippers are no slouch, obviously. Then they're gonna have to play the winner of was that Denver and
Yeah, they got
Minnesota.
Denver, Minnesota. Yep.
I don't really fear Denver that much, if I'm being completely honest. And then they're gonna have to play, let's say, the Warriors, Memphis, Lakers, cool, which is all teams that I feel like they can beat. So I feel like their path is a little bit easier. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with Phoenix. I'm gonna go with Chris Paul.
Cool. Like, this is something I feel too, and I feel like a lot of people think. And I tried to check myself on and be like, maybe I'm like really discrediting the Nuggets too much. But I feel like for the Nuggets having been the like holding the one seed in the West for so long, right? Like they've beaten all these other teams, in the West, and from like just like watching them play, like they stack up, right, in terms of like being a complete team. But
Right.
I feel like they still fly under the radar in terms of like they don't get the respect of being like. I don't feel like there's that many people saying that the Nuggets really have a real shot to come out of the Western Conference. You see a lot more. I feel like Suns, Warriors, Lakers, Clippers. I feel like I see more people say I think the Clippers can make the finals before the Nuggets.
Mhm.
Um, why? Like why? I just I'm really like genuinely curious. We could like unpack like why that is.
I don't. Well, me personally, I don't know. I just don't have that feeling that they're that team that is gonna come out of the West. They definitely could come out of the West, but I don't really fear them like how I feel like you should fear. Like you said, a number one seed that has basically been the number one seed for majority of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I can say why a lot of other people just don't like them at all is because they feel like Jokic isn't really as good as like the stats say he is, or like they just feel like the Denver's kind of boring. I feel like not a lot of people actually watch Jokic and the Nuggets. I
They
feel like
don't. He don't
I feel
like
like
this.
they feel like it's boring the way he plays, the way they play as a team. Like they don't. It's not the sexy pick. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to say, oh yeah, the Warriors,
Yeah,
the Suns, the Lakers. Like, it's easy to say those, but like when you really look at it, you should. I feel like you should fear Denver more than people really do,
100%.
and they don't really have any excuses here. Like Jokic is playing at an MVP level. They have Michael Porter Jr. playing great. Jamal Murray's back healthy. Like they
Right.
should like be the favorites. If you really look at it, they kind of
Yeah.
should be the favorites.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think the only argument I can ever really make to like try to discredit them, and this is just like is a reality of like Jokic is like he's not a great pick and roll defender, right? It's there.
Right.
There's a lot of I look at all of these other teams. I'd probably take most of the other teams' bigs as a defender in the pick and roll over Jokic here, right? So
Hmm.
like that alone hurts when you get into these later rounds. It's like, well, okay, they match up against the Suns. It's like, well, what the heck is he going to do if it's Kevin Durant, DeAndre Ayton pick and
Right.
roll,
Right.
right? Like that puts him in a tough spot. You cannot switch that, right? And if you sit there and try to put drop coverage into it and the dude gets hit by a screen, like KD lives in the mid range. It's like that is a spot that I think is always going to be a hindrance for them. And obviously they can try and like mask it and move stuff around, get Aaron Gordon back there. They have, pieces, lengthy defenders that can help out. But yeah, I think I was feeling that way earlier in the year. It's like the Nuggets are still going to be an early exit, but the more I've watched them and the more I've really like sat and thought about it, like outside of that, and like again, that's going to come down to like coaching and Jokic trying to step up as much as he can on the defensive end. Like from a full roster talent perspective, like this Nuggets team is wildly deep. Like
Hmm.
I really like I said, I think Aaron Gordon has been playing some of the best basketball of his career. Just from a like especially from the defensive side of things, I think he's been really good as a help defender. He kind of was like teetering on almost being an all-star this year. Just how good he was playing on both ends of the floor. He has these spurts of like scoring output. Can knock down the three, not the most consistent or efficiently, but like it's a part of his game now at this point. So yeah, I think this Denver team definitely could get a little bit more credit than I think they just generally get in the NBA space as a whole. That kind of leads me right into the second scenario here. More likely to happen: Jokic makes it out of the Western Conference, or Joel makes it out of the Eastern Conference. So the
Jokic.
Nuggets are the Sixers in the finals. Jokic,
Jokic. For me, that's an easy one just because I feel like I said, it's kind of the same. Honestly, I look at it. It's not even. I look at it more of like you said, it's the Nuggets versus the Sixers. Like, yeah,
mm-hmm.
you want to say it's individual, but it's really. Do you believe in the Nuggets to come out more, or the Sixers? I
Yeah,
don't think either of them are going to the finals. But if I just had to look at who has a better chance, it has to be Denver. Like, if
yeah.
Philly would have to go through Boston and Milwaukee just to even get to the finals, it has to be Denver. That has to be, in my opinion.
And honestly, it would suck if it was like the Celtics or the Sixers that get out because like they have to put down two of the other big teams in the East. And
Right.
then like what if they just lost in the finals? Like they just go on this monster run. It's like,
Hmm.
dang, you just run into the Suns and it's like now they're really cooking or something like that.
But it
Yeah.
takes a lot out of you. I don't think people really, it takes a lot out of you just to get out of those series. Like I said with the Jason Tatum thing with the Celtics last year, I genuinely feel like that Miami Heat series like drained them. Like at least Jason Tatum, he said himself, like it drained him a lot because it was a dogfight, and especially if you're going against another good team, so it's probably gonna go 6 or 7, something like that. That's tiring. That's a lot, and the games are, I mean, what, like every other day, every 2 days, something like that. Like
Yep.
say your series goes 7, and then your opponent ends their series in 4 or 5 or something like that. Then they're way more well rested than you are. So now you're tired going in that series. So it's a lot that goes into it. That's why I feel like Denver's path is just a lot easier. So I mean, Jokic should have a better chance of going deeper in the playoffs than Joel Embiid, in my opinion.
Next one. And remember, you like, look, it's not saying it's gonna happen, but like you had to put money on one of these two.
All right.
Better chance to make the Eastern Conference Finals. The Cavs or the Knicks?
The Cavs or the Knicks to make the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. They have to beat the
They
other
have to beat.
team
So basically, which has a
and
better
then
chance
beat the
of beating
Bucks.
Milwaukee? Yeah.
Right.
Who has a better chance of beating
Yeah.
Milwaukee? Hmm. Oh, it's
I
tough.
put my bread on Cleveland just strictly off of matchup base. Like, even if that project like Cleveland wins this first series and it goes to the next
Yeah,
round, like Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen at least have the personnel to be like, Giannis, you're not about to just run up in here
that
crazy.
is true. Yeah. I would probably have to say the Cavs just for that reason that you said. Just I don't, bro. Knicks play teams like they've been playing these good teams tough though.
Tough, bro.
Like they've been playing good teams. I forgot what their regular season record was against Boston, but I feel like every time I watched them, like they were either won or it was a very close game. So I
Yep.
mean, I'm gonna put some respect on the Knicks, but I would have to say Cleveland just because I feel like if the Knicks matched up against the Bucks specifically, I don't think they have the right personnel to beat them at all. Honestly, I
Yeah.
mean neither of those teams are beating them, but I feel like Cleveland would have a better chance than the Knicks would.
More likely to happen, the Phoenix Suns go home in the first round or the Warriors go home in the first
Warriors, Warriors.
round.
Wait, hold on, let me think about it. Phoenix Sun.
Suns lose to the Clippers or the Warriors lose to the Kings.
If Paul George was healthy, I would say the Suns, but I think the Warriors could lose to the Kings. The Warriors definitely could lose to the Kings. Like you picked the Warriors to lose to the
Yeah,
Kings.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't like I said, I'm gonna stick to my takes. I said that I don't really see a way that Phoenix loses, especially with Paul George missing at least 2 games. So I'm gonna definitely say the Warriors because that series is gonna be a dogfight.
Yeah. Last one. You're gonna have to put your Laker bias aside.
Oh.
Which player is more likely to make their first trip to the NBA Finals this year? Donovan Mitchell or John Morant?
It's more likely, you said?
Which would be more likely? So the Grizzlies getting out of the West or the Cavs getting out of the East?
The Grizzlies. Ja Morant. Definitely Ja Morant. Because I can see, like I said, I'm putting my Lakers bias aside.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis could 100% beat the Lakers. Like they could definitely beat the Lakers. Um, Memphis is a great team. Like I think people kind of got distracted with the whole Ja Morant, the whole like stuff he was going through or whatever. But like Memphis is a great team. Like they're a great team at home. They're just a solid team. They get up and down. They play with a lot of pace. You said or Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
Cleveland, it's same thing. Like their path is just like they would have to beat Milwaukee. They would have to beat either the Sixers or Boston. Like that's just tough. I would have to say Memphis. I would have to say Ja Morant. And like honestly, if I wasn't a Lakers fan, it would be nice to see Memphis go on a little run. I feel like that'd be pretty cool. Like see Ja Morant actually like go on like a deep playoff run, get to
Yeah.
the finals. Like you know how entertaining that would be. Ja Morant in the finals.
Wild, bro.
That would be, bro.
Okay.
What? That'd be
Bleacher
crazy.
Report gonna be spinning the highlights from that for the next like decade, bro.
Oh, facts. But yeah, I'm gonna have to say John Morant. I'm putting my bias aside. I'm gonna have to say John Morant. But yeah, I like
Last
that
one,
segment.
I got the FanDuel just dropped all the their betting odds for the championship for the playoffs today. So I got all the odds in front of me, right? If I gave you $500, put a bet on who's gonna win, who would you put your money on right now? I'll tell you how much it would pay out if you paid it.
So basically, who do I think is winning the finals?
Right. You have $500 to go bet at the casino right now. Go put in your little bet.
Well, I'm gonna give you two answers. I'm gonna
Okay.
say one bet I'm putting on the Lakers because I know the payout would be crazy.
Right. You put it on
I
the
know the
Lakers.
payout would be
You
crazy.
put 500 on the Lakers, getting 11 racks back.
Ooh, I would do that strictly off the fact that I know the payout would be crazy. But if I was being smart with my money,
hmm
um, sh- to me, so I've been going back and forth between Milwaukee or Boston.
hmm
I just feel like I honestly, if I had to be completely unbiased, I feel like the winner of this finals is probably gonna be someone out of the East. I feel like it's gonna
hmm
be one of those two teams. Like whoever is in the Eastern Conference Finals, I feel like that's gonna be kind of the
Yeah.
finals.
My
Um,
only fear with that though is again, like we were saying, the dogfight of the East is like, bro, y'all gonna come out of that series with like battle scars. Like,
nah, for real, bro, it's gonna be so draining just that series
yeah,
because that series is gonna go seven. I don't like no matter who it
right.
is, that series is
Whoever it
gonna go
is,
seven.
yeah.
Yeah, that series is gonna go seven. It's going to be oh my, it's gonna be a bloodbath. So honestly, I'll have to say Boston. I'm gonna say Boston because every time Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown play Milwaukee, they go off. Like they destroy them every time they play them this season. And I feel like they're hungry. They wanted they've been to the finals, they lost. Like I feel like they got their sour taste in their mouth. So they're just like,
hmm
I don't want to have to go through that again. You know what I mean? I feel like Jason Tatum has something to prove. Um, I'm gonna have to say Boston. And I don't think I'm Drew Holiday's obviously a great defender. I'm not disrespecting him, but like
Yeah.
as far as like guarding the both of them, who does Milwaukee have that really can make it difficult on both of them? Like I said, Drew Holiday's a great defender.
Yeah.
He's also small. He's also way shorter than
Smaller.
both of
Yeah.
them. So
They don't have a lot of like elite level like lengthy wing defenders really when you
right,
think about it, right? Like because they're two I'd probably say their two best perimeter defenders is like Drew Holiday and then Javon Carter. I'm not sure. He's on the Bucks, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the ball
Um,
guy, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Right. So it's like the two of them are both like probably their best perimeter defenders, but they're both like smaller
they're both
guards.
small.
Like
Yeah,
Jason Tatum is shooting over that. So
exactly.
it's definitely tough. If I had to put, and this is my title favorite for the last probably like month and a half, 2 months now, has been like pretty consistently Milwaukee again, just like best player in the world, best
Hmm.
team in the East. Um, they're like arguably deeper than when they won against Phoenix a couple of years ago.
Hmm.
Um,
I gotta agree. Yeah, I agree with that.
right, like Grayson Allen has moments where it's like he's having stretches. Bobby Portis is always going to be, bringing you solid production off the bench. This is the best season we've seen out of Brook Lopez. And on top of all this, they did all this without Chris Middleton for most of the year, or like him being, not really fully healthy.
Drew Holiday's been
So
their second best player this year. He's
yeah, so
100%.
like that, I think alone is scary because it's like bro, you have two all-star caliber players and then the best player in the world. Like
Yeah,
that is
I'm.
just that's
It's
going
a
to be
lot.
tough, right? And not a lot of teams have the personnel, I think, really to match up as well as I think a team like Cleveland does, where it's like we've got bigs that can like get in here because to an extent you kind of almost have to do what you like people teams did with Shaq because it's like Giannis is going to draw mad fouls, like putting his head down,
Mm,
getting to the rim, and so it's like you can't get all your bigs in foul trouble, right? So not a lot of teams have the personnel for that. So for that alone, I'll go with Boston or not Boston, Milwaukee, but a bet on Boston, $500 would pay out 22.50. The
okay.
longest odds is the Nets. The Nets are plus 37,000 to
Wow.
win the championship.
Wow.
If you bet $500 on the Nets and that hit, you would get $185,000. I would, bro. I'm about to, bro. Honestly, what if we
Yo.
just put like five on?
I'm
Wait,
about to say,
bro.
what's like a little like $10 bet? What's like a little $10 bet? I might
Bro,
throw it
ten
out there
ten
just
dollar
cause.
bet, bro. $3,700.
I might
Might as
throw a
well,
little 10.
might as well go put it in, bro.
Might as well a little $10 bet. You know what I'm saying? Might as well a little $10.
All right. But no, honestly, one of the better long odds that I see on this list, the Kings are plus 5,000. Um, a $500 bet on the Kings would give you $25,000.
25,000. That is not like if you just want a long shot bet. That's probably the best long shot bet
All
there
right.
is out there.
Them and the Clippers have the same odds. Then the Cavs are right above them at 4,600. So top five in the odds: Bucks, Celtics, and then the Suns. The Warriors actually have the fourth best odds at plus 850, and then the Nuggets round out. The Nuggets and the Sixers both tied for the fifth best odds at plus 1,000.
People
Um,
really believe in like people really like
it's
they
hard to bet against that dynasty, man.
look honest. It's funny though, I picked them to win this series. Like I said, I would not be surprised if they lose. But I'm just gonna say now, I feel like if they come out of this series, they're losing to whoever comes out of the next series. I feel like Memphis or the Lakers will beat them.
Really?
Like if they come, I'm gonna say it early. I feel like if they beat the Kings, whoever comes out of the Memphis or Lakers series is gonna win that.
Would you say the same thing if the Kings came out? Like if it was Kings Lakers or
We're
Kings
gonna scrape.
Grizzlies?
We're gonna scrape them, bro. We're
All
gonna we're
right,
gonna win
what
that.
about Kings Grizzlies? Kings Grizzlies.
Kings Grizzlies. I pick Memphis. I pick Memphis.
I just want to see Warriors Grizzlies again. Like it feels even more hyped up than it was last year. Like
Oh my God. I like
Dylan
I said,
Brooks.
if I wasn't a Lakers fan, I would 100% want to see that. That would be amazing to see.
Yeah, if we got that matchup, bro, Dylan Brooks would have some like legacy quotes, like some
Oh
he
my
gonna say
God.
some outlandish stuff. And then Draymond Green gonna go on his podcast and say some outlandish stuff. It's just gonna be wild,
Exactly.
wild smack talk back and forth.
It's tough. It's tough having a team in the playoffs sometimes that like you're desperately rooting for. 'Cause like there's matchups that I want to see, or like there's players who I would love to see actually win a ring. But like I'm gonna pick my team over all that. So
Yeah. Well, that'll do it for the first edition of the Off the Glass podcast. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always.
yes, sir.
Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be rolling out with more of these, especially during the, with the playoffs, coming as every day, basketball every day now for at least like the next month.
It's gonna be great, man.
Yeah. So, appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure y'all tune into the NBA playoffs and enjoy it. We out. Peace.
Yes, sir.